questions about this, or want to start a conversation about the cure for sickle cell, just comment down in the comment box below. I would love to have an open conversation about this, especially with people that do have sickle cell, because do you guys ever think about the cure? Like, do you guys consider probably getting the cure? Hey everyone, my name is Malika and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning into my video once again. So today's video is going to be basically a part 2 of my what is sickle cell anemia video. I felt like in that video I left out a few things that were really important that I forgot to talk about. So I figured I'll just make a part 2 to that video so that I can speak about those things. And those things that I didn't speak about was basically the treatments that we get in the hospital while we're in a pain crisis. You know, what do the doctors usually do for us, and the cure for sickle cell. So when we are in a pain crisis, the only kind of treatments that we get is IV fluids, and that's to hydrate the body and also to let the blood flow throughout the vessels easily. Pain medication to keep our pain under control, because there's nothing else that they could give us to really help the pain besides pain medication. And usually people with sickle cell anemia get very strong medication when they're in a hospital, like morphine, Dilaudid. Those are the main medication that we usually get in the hospital. If there is any other medication that someone out there that has sickle cell takes when they are at the hospital, comment it down below. But as far as I know, the pain medication that we usually get when we're in the hospital are morphine and Dilaudid. If our blood levels, our hemoglobin drops to a low level, then they will consider giving us a blood transfusion. But if it doesn't drop very low, then they won't. So for me, my hemoglobin level is usually a 910. So if my hemoglobin usually drops to like a 6.5, they will give me a blood transfusion. But if it doesn't usually drop that low, then they wouldn't give me any kind of blood transfusion. Now, that's a treatment that we get if we are going through a pain crisis. Now, for any other complication, I don't think I could talk about that in this video, because that will be like an hour long, maybe 2 hour long video. It's so long. Maybe I'll include links in my description box, but I just want to cover what treatment we get in a hospital for our most common complication for sickle cell, which is pain crisis. So that's what we usually get when we're in the hospital. Now, about the cure for sickle cell. Now, I've had family members, friends, a few people email me, message me, about how there's this cure for sickle cell, and they would send me articles about, this cure for sickle cell. And I'm so happy that, I do have family members and friends that think about me when they do see these articles and they do hear these stories about people that have been cured for sickle cell, because it just means that you guys did have me in your thoughts when you came across those topics. So thank you guys so much for really keeping me in your thoughts when it comes to sickle cell. I really do appreciate it. But I kind of wanted to let you guys know what the cure is about, what it is, my kind of decision as of right now when it comes to the cure for sickle cell and where I stand right now. So basically the cure right now for sickle cell is the bone marrow stem cell transplant. This is the only kind of cure that's out there for sickle cell. And when people hear cure, I feel like they think that it's like a 1, 2, 3 process. Like, hey, there's a cure for sickle cell. Let me just set up an appointment, get it done, and that's it. But that's not it. It's a very big procedure. It's a very lengthy procedure. It requires you to stay in the hospital for about a month or over a month. When it comes to finding a match for a bone marrow transplant or a stem cell transplant, the best match is for me to get it from a sibling, someone that, had the same mother and father. So I do have 2 brothers that I do share the same mother and father with. So if they were to get tested and they were a match, then that would be great. But a parent cannot be a donor. It can only be a sibling or a match that's like outside of family. And usually when it comes to that, they come from organizations where I guess you'll be like on a donor list, and then you'll be matched up in that case. but the best match out there is a sibling. And what is a bone marrow transplant and how can it help sickle cell anemia? So the idea of a bone marrow transplant is that a bone marrow is basically what produces hemoglobin. But for me, because I have sickle cell, my bone marrow produces defective hemoglobin, which is sickle cell. Now for a normal person or a healthy person, their bone marrow produces healthy, normal hemoglobin, red blood cells. So the idea of a bone marrow transplant is to replace my bone marrow with a normal person's bone marrow so that my bone marrow will produce normal red blood cells, which in turn will cure my sickle cell. So that's the whole idea of a bone marrow transplant. It's basically to replace my bone marrow with a healthy person's bone marrow so that my bone marrow will produce normal red blood cells and I would not have sickle cell anymore. Now, this is where it gets kind of complicated and risky and, it gets kind of serious. Now, to prepare for the bone marrow transplant, that alone is basically a little bit complicated because you're going to be put on chemotherapy, and the idea of getting put on chemotherapy is to break down the body. Now, when I say break down the body, I mean breaking down my bone marrow, my stem cells, and also any kind of infection fighting system I have in my body. Anything that fights off infection, they have to break all of that down with chemotherapy. And the idea of giving me that chemotherapy to break down the bone marrow transplant and what I just named is so that when I do get the new bone marrow from a healthy person, my body will accept it and it won't reject it. Because if my body, has the infection fighting system, is going to kind of reject it like, it's a foreign, body coming into my body, it's going to want to fight it off. So the whole idea is to weaken my body, break it down pretty much, the bone marrow and the infecting system, and to allow it to accept the transplant. Now, after the transplant is complete, the idea after it now is for my body to start producing normal red blood cells and also for my immune system to start, repairing and getting strong again with the new bone marrow. Now this is where it kind of gets a little bit even more complicated. This cure has a higher success rate for children with sickle cell. The success rate is a lot higher for children with sickle cell and it's a lot lower for adults with sickle cell. Not only that, but when you are breaking down the body before you have the transplant, you're kind of letting your body be prone to infections and different things like that. Now, even when you do the transplant, it's not a guarantee, 100% guarantee that it will accept and, it will be successful because your body could still possibly reject it. And then with it rejecting it, it can damage your organs and things of that sort. Another complication are seizures, bleeding in the brain, and also infertility. So those things alone are quite a lot to take in. Not only that, but once the transplant is finished and it's complete, because it is a big procedure, that's why you do have to stay in the hospital for a long time because the doctors have to pay very close attention to your body to make sure that you're not going to get any infections and that it's going to be successful and your body is taking it. So you do have to stay in the hospital for about a month or over a month, maybe up to 2 months after the procedure. When it comes to the cure, they usually look for people that suffer really badly with sickle cell to be a candidate for this cure. So people that go through pain crisis a lot, have acute chest syndrome a lot, go through quite a few episodes of strokes a lot. I really recommend this cure for people with sickle cell. Personally, me, I do have sickle cell. I do go through pain crisis, not often. My last pain crisis, if I'm correct, was about a year and a half ago. And for the sickle cell community, that is amazing because there are people that are in the hospital every month, every other month. So for me to not have a pain crisis in over a year, that is a blessing in itself. I know I've had complications with my hips, But besides that, I haven't really suffered from other complications besides acute chest syndrome. I did experience once. But besides that, I haven't had the worst sickle cell experience, I guess you could say. So as of right now, I'm not really looking into it for myself. I feel as though my mind could change. I could change my mind in a year. I could change my mind in a year. I don't know what I may think then. I may want to give the cure a shot. I may speak about it to my doctor more seriously. But even when it comes to my doctor, she already told me that if it's something that I'm really serious about, we can't talk about it further. But even her, she doesn't really kind of recommend it for me. Because like I said, I don't have it as bad as other sickle cell people out there. I am quite blessed in that sense. Although, like I said, I did have my hip situation, I am still blessed because there are people with sickle cell that's in and out the hospital more than once a month, every other month. So for me, I'm not in the hospital often. I was just in the hospital quite often when it came to my surgeries. But besides that, I'm a pretty good sickle cell patient. So me, my doctor and I, we haven't really discussed it much. But like I said, as of right now, I'm not looking into getting the cure, the bone marrow transplant, the stem cell transplant. But I don't want people to feel like I'm downing the cure, or if you're someone out there that have sickle cell, like, don't get this cure. Because I do feel like if you're someone out there that suffers from a lot of complications with sickle cell really often, this is something that maybe you should talk to your doctors about. I feel like it's amazing that there are people that's out there that has had sickle cell and they have been cured. Like, that's just amazing. Like, I'm so happy for people out there that have had a successful bone marrow transplant and they're out there living their life and, pain-free. So I really am happy about that. But what I am just saying is to think about it. Like, it's not something it's something that really takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of discussions with your doctors and family members. It's not an easy decision. Like I said, it's really something you have to really sit down and think about and discuss with your doctors if you are serious about going through with a bone marrow transplant. And right now, like I said, for myself, I'm not looking into it. To be quite honest and open with you guys, I am more so scared about it because, people, you can die from it as well. Like, that is another risk, that you can die after getting the transplant. It may not be successful, and I know it's kind of thinking negatively, but you have to think about the pros and the cons. Like, yes, maybe it can work and maybe it can cure me, but at the same time, the risks are really high. It's not as successful with adults as it is with children. So in my case, I do have to think about it like the big picture. I have to think about everything. So I'm really scared when I hear that you can die from it, the risks from it, the fact that it might not work for me, infertility, all those things really makes me not want to do it. So that's why right now I'm really not thinking about it. But who's to say next year or 2 years from now that maybe I would want to think about it and seriously talk to my doctors about it. So I believe I covered everything. I hope I covered everything because I'm going to be mad if I didn't cover everything. I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for tuning into my video. Once again, I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate the fact that you guys are really listening to my videos, subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, commenting. If you guys have any questions about this or want to start a conversation about the cure for sickle cell, just comment down in the comment box below. I would love to have an open conversation about this, especially with people that do have sickle cell, because do you guys ever think about the cure? Like, do you guys consider probably getting the cure? That's something that I really want to know. So comment down in the comments box below if you're someone out there that has sickle cell, that has thought about maybe going through with the cure and speaking to your doctors and really being serious about it. So thank you guys so much for watching my videos and stay tuned for my next one. Bye.